All right, my name is Keanu Rish. This is Tiffany Hopper, and this is the Lundquist Real Estate Podcast. I'm super excited to have Tiffany on with us, and she's definitely going to give us lots of wisdom and insight. She is a financial advisor for Beacon Credit Union, and we've been talking for the last 50 minutes, and I'm just really excited. Like, this is going to be a high quality podcast. You're going to get some great information. And go ahead, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your history.
Sure. My name's Tiffany Hoppert. I've been at Beacon Credit Union over 20 years. I head up the investment team there. I'm also a financial advisor and a life insurance agent. I help clients that are also members of the credit union with their financial lives, all aspects of their financial lives, and we'll get into a little bit of that in a few minutes. I'm there to answer questions, to guide my clients into making the best financial decisions possible in every area of their life. We serve Wabash as our primary hub. We serve the surrounding counties. Membership is about 45,000 members that we're serving, so we have a pretty big footprint.
You say how many?
45,000
Man,
members.
that's a lot.
It is. We recently purchased a bank in southern Indiana, so we have an additional footprint down there near the Louisville area. So we're very spread out, and we are a team of 3 that covers all of that territory. So
there's 3 financial advisors.
there are 2 financial advisors and a support staff.
Okay.
And so we're spread pretty thin.
Okay.
To meet with us, it's a no-cost meeting to just glean some information and figure out how we might be able to help you and or that member.
All right. That's a good start. So our next spot from that, so we have opening, introduction. We're going to talk about the community update. Specifically, we're going to talk about what most of the families are going to like, the holiday events, Santa sightings. So December 13th is going to be the Jolly Trolley Tour. It's going to be holiday festivities, downtown Wabash, hot cocoa. Sounds like a puppet show for the kiddos. And a story time, Christmas caroling. If I read it correctly, I believe Mrs. Claus is going to be on the trolley when they do the tour. It sounds like there's going to be some crafts and photos with Santa, and it's going to depart from Charlie Creek Inn and is it New Song Church? I think it's going to finish at New Song Church. I'm not positive. We also have lights at Paradise Springs. So have you been down there yet?
I drove by it. I've never been through it, but it was something that we put on our list for later this month.
Yeah, so Olivia and I haven't walked through it either, but we want to because we've gone to the ones in Marion before,
Right.
but we haven't made it to the ones in Wabash. They're also going to open up the historic cabins. I'm not for sure what day that's going to be. So they're going to open up the cabins. It sounds like there is going to be a Santa down there at some point in time, but I don't know when.
And I read there's going to be treats and hot cocoa there as well in the cabins.
All the more reason to go. Who
Right.
doesn't like hot
Right,
cocoa? I actually
right.
just bought some for the office
Oh,
because our office, so John always buys Black Rifle coffee, and there's no creamer in the office. So I used all the hot cocoa packets.
as creamer?
Yes, creamer. It tastes great. And so I only felt obligated to go to the store and buy more hot cocoa, and I also bought a big bag of marshmallows.
Probably cheaper too.
Yeah, so we're all stocked up. The Wabash County Museum, they have, it's called the Festival of Trees. It seems like there's a lot of museums that do this. There's also, they're doing Elf on the Shelf, but it sounds like there's 5, 10, 15 elves hidden throughout the museum. So if you take your kids there, there's going to be the Festival of Trees, and it sounds like there's an elf on a shelf hidden throughout the museum that the kids can find, and they're going to change it up every week.
Did you know that the Historical Museum recently opened a sensory sensitive area for kids that may need that?
Yeah, so how long? That's been there for a little bit, right?
Well, they just advertised it recently.
So when I think when I did my leadership development class and we took a tour of it, I think they had just opened it, and it's pretty neat. I mean, it'd be nice for if you had a kid that was sensitive and needed that escape to be able to disengage. It'd be really
Because
be
it is a
nice.
very interactive museum, and
It
to
is.
have that little quiet getaway would be nice for those kids.
I didn't realize how child or kid oriented it was. When I
great.
think of a museum, I think of doll, cowboy, settlement, not.
Don't touch anything. It's
Yeah,
not interactive. Ours is so interactive.
It is. It's very interactive, and it's very like child friendly. Nearby option, short drive, Christmas at the Canal. I believe that's in LeGros. Wabash and Erie Canal Park in Delphi. And okay, so it sounds like the Delphi one. That's 45 minutes away. That's a little bit, but it sounds like they're gonna have Santa photos, artesian demonstrations. What is that?
Where your artists will show you if they're doing glass blowing, if they're doing mosaic glass work, if they're doing needlework, they're going to show you how they make their crafts.
Okay. Well, I'm not familiar with that, but obviously Tiffany is, so take her word for it. But that's some of the local community events. I think Shop with a Cop is coming up on the 13th.
Are you participating in that?
I am. I'm really excited. I love doing it. H&K is always a great host. They pay for breakfast for all the officers, so we're able to go out, socialize, and then we go over to Walmart and we're able to take some kids out and go pick some Christmas presents out, and it's really fulfilling. Yeah. And our spouses and they even encourage to take some of our kids with us because it makes those kids feel a little bit more at home. There's somebody to jive with. It's not just them with a police officer.
With a police officer,
yeah, which can be cool unless you have a kid that may be more sensitive, right?
Be intimidating as well.
Yeah. And so you see kids all over the spectrum of they want to touch your badge and they're asking about your gun to like, I'm terrified of this police officer. I would say more times than not, they're somewhere more on the friendly side and they're wanting to pick stuff out. And it's a great opportunity to get them some things that they need throughout the year and also get them some toys so they have a good Christmas.
I really enjoy looking at the Wabash community page and looking for the police officers that I know, and it seems to me that the police officers are having more fun than the kids are a lot of times in those pictures.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun.
Oh, yeah. Ryan Baker was Santa Claus last year, and actually, so we made a book for Henry, and Baker made it to our family book because he's holding Henry in that photo. And so I think the plan is to get another Santa photo with him. So it'd be like, back-to-back years with Henry and look at the difference because he went from 8 pounds to like 20 pounds now.
Right.
And so he's just, oh, yeah, that kid's grown like a weed. So that's exciting. I'm excited. I'm really excited for that. It's one of my favorite things. It's probably my favorite thing to volunteer-wise and as like police officer wise to do.
Yeah. It reminds you why you're really an officer.
Yeah. And it
to help our community.
Really shows you how blessed you are. And I see that all the time as a police officer. You go into houses that they just aren't as privileged. Just like that game when you did in high school where they had everybody step forward and you really realize where some people's starting point is.
Right.
So, all right. On to the next. Community real estate update. So, I have a big sheet of paper for this one. But starting out with the 4-meter box expansions appears to be going pretty good. It sounds like they got their towers up and they're finishing up the inside of it. I don't know what their expected finish date is.
Do you know if they're going to have an open house for the community?
I believe they are. I
haven't seen anything yet.
Typically reach out to Chris White about stuff. He's my point of contact. There may be another point of contact that people need to reach out to, but I would assume there's an open house for people to come out. But that's back at Ringle Drive. What's that called? The industrial
park.
Yes, the industrial park. I had to think about it. And I believe that's a $300 million investment in Wabash, which is a huge investment. And then we have the spec building that Wabash County is putting up. I think Crossroads is financing that,
They
right?
Are.
And that is, so it says spec building $5 million. It sounds like Kendall Electric is purchasing one, and one is 30,000 square feet and still available for sale or rent. So they may be putting up multiple spec buildings, and Kendall Electric has already bought one. Okay. And so there's our tax dollars at work bringing money into Wabash, which...
And hopefully jobs.
Yeah, and jobs, which actually, there's quite a few jobs coming, actually, when you look at it. So we have the spec building, Ford meter box, the riverfront apartments. And if you don't know where those are, so that's going to be in between Huntington Street and Wabash Street on the north side of the river, just east of Alley Cat, correct?
Right.
And those are going to be 100 market rate units. It's going to be roughly $27 million worth of investment, which is a huge deal. It'll be awesome for jobs and for housing. It sounds like Wabash is in need of housing.
We are.
So we also have North Manchester got a grant for $12 million. Sounds like it's a multi-phase grant. The first phase is going to be 12 new townhomes near the university, and the second phase is going to be another 12. So it sounds like a total of 24. So there's more housing that's coming, and sounds like a new manufacturer redevelopment project. So it may be the North Manchester Cabinet. What was their name again?
Manchester Cabinet Company.
Manchester Cabinet Company. We're not for sure if it's them or if it's a new company, but there's a company investing $3 million in Wabash, so that's exciting. And then we have some of the ones that are closer to town, behind Kroger's, the Bowen Health. That's coming up. The new adult education center. It just opened up on Cash Street, and then we have the awesome JJ Travel Plaza, which we're long overdue for. You said that it's staked pretty far back, right?
It
looks like
is
it's going to
right
be
there at 13 and 24. It's cordoned off pretty far west, so it looks to be a large property that's going to be developed. That's exciting.
Yeah, that'll be sweet because I love Hoosier Point, but I'm really excited about JJ's. Hoosier Point's nice. I'm very excited about JJ's.
I assume that it will be a 24-hour gas station.
Yeah, I would assume.
Fuel center.
I mean, it's labeled JJ's Travel Plaza, which
right.
makes it sound like it's going to be closer to like a large Casey's
right.
or a Pilot or a Love's.
Right.
The Walmart remodel, I believe that's mostly done. That was an $8 million investment. Custom Cartons, are you familiar with where Custom Cartons is? So Custom Cartons is on Old 24. I actually worked there for a short period of time. I know Aaron. I believe he's the owner or soon-to-be owner of the company, and I enjoyed my time there. It's a box factory. It's hard work, but it is jobs, and so that's good. That's good. Winco Plastics. So are you familiar with the property on Bond Street just south of the tracks on the west side of the road?
No.
Okay. I think 5 Hour Energy owned it originally.
Yes.
And then 5 Hour Energy sold it. It sounds like it was just going to take too much to get it up to food grade, or they didn't need it. I don't want to speak for 5 Hour Energy. I don't know why they sold it. And then it was bought, and then it was sold again. And it sounds like it was an investor out of Illinois bought it, and he is recycling plastics now. So they get raw plastic, and you can see the plastic from Mill Street or Old 24.
Correct. They look like big plastic jugs.
Yeah, it's Mill Street, actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see it right there. I think it's by Olive Street or Olive Road. I forget what the classification is.
The one that goes up by Winchester Senior Center.
But so you can see all the plastic out there, and they take it, and then it's like a big press. They press it into like a raw plastic that they could ship out to other facilities and have it molded. So you think like, the aluminum ingots they make out on the cut, that's what they're doing, but with essentially plastic.
Right.
And it sounds like they're up and running, and they have employees, and we've already helped them purchase a couple of houses in Wabash for some of their employees, which is exciting, right? Like that's what we want. We want investors from other places bringing business, bringing people to Wabash. So in a lot of ways, that's a success story. Oh, yeah. And then there's a ton of small businesses coming. So you said you knew where Dickey's was. I have no clue I had no clue.
The building is up there already.
I know. But I typically
Obviously,
do all my groceries.
Police officer and you was driving too fast down 24.
I work for the county, okay?
Okay.
And
deputy and you.
Yeah. So I also shop at Walmart. So I'm not in the Kroger's parking lot.
Right.
And I'm not a big Butterburger guy. I know some people
see it
are.
From 24, the building is already there.
Yeah. But yeah, so the new Dickey's car wash is up.
Yeah.
So that will be exciting. Jimmy John's, that's going to be, so I've heard a lot of talk about this. So John Lundquist actually sold the lot. It's the lot just north of O'Reilly's in front of the storage units.
Right.
So that's nice, which we're also getting a new gas station there. What one is that?
BP.
BP. So yeah, there's lots.
That's what the sign originally said. That sign's gone, so hopefully it's still
Okay.
that, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Now, I wouldn't think they would invest a whole bunch of money in developing it because
Yeah.
like they've
But
already
it's
got.
going to be nice to have that station in operation again.
Yeah, that will be nice. Because you have Jimmy John's, O'Reilly's, you have the new Travel Plaza. I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on, and this is what the city doesn't always. This is what the public is not aware of all the time.
Right.
They don't see
What's
typically.
coming.
Yeah,
It's coming, and the investment and the time it takes to get these businesses built
Yeah.
and operational.
and the red tape and the
Yes,
loans
yes.
and the construction permits, but it's here and it's coming, and we have good stuff coming down the line. Mocha Car Wash is coming. Town Market and Nest Coffee is already up and running. The Copper Tooth, that's been here for a while.
Right.
I talked to that owner multiple times in the middle of the night, working third shift. I'd stop out. He worked on that thing in the middle of the night all the time.
I know.
Kaleidoscope, that sounds like it's on Manchester. Oh, yes. Do you remember where Grant City Abstract Title was?
No.
I think it was the old Edward Jones building.
Is that the same building?
Yes.
Before it was Edward Jones, it was the Grant.
Well, after Edward Jones, it was the Grant City Title,
Okay.
and then
I just have known it since of the
Edward
as
Jones.
Edward Jones. Yes.
Yes, I'm almost positive
That's where
it
that
went
is.
from Edward Jones
Okay.
to Grant City
Okay.
Title to now this is where the
Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope Art Studio is. And I'm not quite for sure where the pool store is. Maybe somebody else does, but there's going to be 2 locations, so I only need to know one of the 2. If I ever had to have a pool, which I don't, but there must be a demand for pool supplies.
There must be.
All right. Travel updates. So North Manchester, the South Market Street Bridge, North Manchester, is going to remain closed, and it probably will not be open until the spring of 26. So if you're going through North Manchester, keep that in mind. That's from NDOT. And now we're going to move into places to visit for Christmas. Do you have any suggestions? I have a list, but I want to hear your suggestions first. Or I can go with the list.
You can go with the list, but there is one that I enjoy going to. It's a city much like Wabash, but in Huntington, there's a Sunken Gardens there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So they have a light display there. I love Marion. If you don't want to travel too far, those are too close places to visit at Christmas time.
Yeah, so we actually went to the Sunken Gardens for our family photos, and then we went to go down there, and it was all locked because they were putting the Christmas lights up.
Right.
So we took them at the park, which I still think they turned out good. So I have you ever been to Conner Prairie, Mary Prairie?
I have.
Did you go during the Christmas
I
lights?
did not.
I have not either, but it made the top 5 list. Me and Olivia just went down to Chris Kindle Mart in Newfield.
Yes.
Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
I have not, but I have some clients that their kids work down there during that season.
Really?
Yes.
I really like it.
Yeah.
Now, I wish we didn't eat before we went down there because it's like a food market.
It is.
Mhm.
It is.
And if you like German cheese, hopefully it tastes better than what it smells because it was not very pleasant. You could hear people talking about it.
Yeah.
But and anybody who has had it will probably acknowledge like it does not smell good. But it sounds like it tastes amazing.
They have a huge following, and every year they open that market back up, and every year it's flooded with people from around the state, so it must
Yeah.
taste okay.
Yeah. And they have brats. Me and Olivia went and got some hot chocolate with a whole bunch of whipped topping. It was pretty good. And they also have ice skating. It felt kind of like a Hallmark movie.
Right, Christmas Village.
Yeah, it's exactly what it felt like with the Christmas tree and the cabins and the ice skating. It just felt like something right out of a Christmas movie. So, and we were able to take Henry to her parents, so we were able to have like a little date night getaway, and so that was fun. And then the Newfields Winter Lights, that's pretty neat. I don't think I've ever seen Christmas lights quite as, I don't say, yeah, I would say probably extravagant. Like I would say it's more classy than some of the visual displays. So like Newfield is more like they take a tree and they decorate every limb on it with a ton of lights. And it's not necessarily Christmas lights in the shape of a kid rolling a snowman. It's more like stars, snowflakes, bridges. It was more classy, I should say. Not that designed.
And where's that located?
That's down in Indy.
Okay.
Yes, that's at the Lily House,
Okay.
which is a museum. I'm not quite for sure what museum it is, but if you just look up Newfield Christmas lights, you can find it.
Okay.
And then we have Fort Wayne Holiday Pops. I have not been down there, and I have not been through the Gift of Lights drive-through at Washington Park. But those are both on the list. I've been to Chris Kindle Mart and Newfields, and they are awesome. I would highly suggest it.
Have you ever been on the carriage rides in Fort Wayne at Christmas time?
I have not. I've been on one down in Indy around the circle, but that's it.
So during the holidays, Fort Wayne has 2 carriage companies that you can take a 30-minute or hour ride, and they take you all over the city and show you Christmas lights. It's
Okay.
beautiful and wonderful.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so now getting to the main discussion. This is what we're talking about educational-wise, the 50-year mortgage. We heard people talking about this in politics. How do you make the housing crisis more digestible? How do you deal with it? And some people suggested a 50-year mortgage. I'm advising against it. Sounds like I've spoke with Tiffany. She has pretty strong opinions about it. But if you want to start us off with it.
Well, I'll give you my opinion about how I think it came about. I think that for many Americans, homeownership has just gotten right outside of their reach with inflation, the cost of these homes going up, interest rates being high, incomes not rising at the same rate as inflation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people that come up with new quote-unquote products, mortgage products, they had to get crafty and they had to get creative. And I think that that's where this was born. It was a way to make home ownership attainable for more Americans, and this idea of stretching it out for 50 years, and it's a long-term investment, and giving people the opportunity to keep their house payment in a reasonable amount per month. I think that's how it was kind of born.
Yeah. If there were good intentions, that's what they were centered around.
Correct.
If they were negative intentions, I think this is aggressive lending and predatory lending is the correct term. And I am telling everybody, just do not do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the wrong decision. Maybe it's the right. I can't say it's the right decision because the numbers don't say that. So I can go over some of the amortization schedules, but essentially I probably would have aimed to try and get a 15-year mortgage had I paid more, had I knew more, had I been better educated. But there's a lack of education about the important topics in this country, like budgeting, finances, taxes. So a good house price is $200,000 in Wabash County. Whether you're in the county, in the city, that seems to be right there in that niche. There seems to be a lot of houses above it, a lot of houses below it.
I want to kind of press on you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to your listeners what you mean by a good house price? Because as a financial advisor, it's really important to detail or explain or put meaning to some of the adjectives we use when we're talking about finances. So when you say good house price, what do you mean?
I mean like a median. median, or average.
Okay.
Like it's right there in the middle.
Okay.
I'm not talking about like you're buying a $200,000 house for $175,000.
Okay.
I'm talking about an average, a median, a middle price. So in easy numbers.
Yeah.
So working with $100,000 or $200,000 house for simplicity.
Yeah, it's important when we talk to our clients and you as well to define some of the words that we're using, so we make sure we're on the same page as we talk to our clients and for you, your buyers of real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
That's important.
And so when we look at the amortization schedule, so I have so the house price on all three of these is $200,000. I have a 15-year mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, and a 50-year mortgage. Now, Tiffany pointed out a really good point. The 15-year mortgage is going to have a lower interest rate than the 50, and the 30 is going to be somewhere in the middle. I did a flat 6% for simplicity. But in real life, these numbers would be even more, there would be an even greater gap between them.
Right.
So for a $200,000 house for 15 years, your payment's going to be $1,687. And it would actually be lower than that because the interest rate would be lower. For a 50-year mortgage, it only brings your payment down $600-ish. And actually, it's not even going to be that because your interest rate's going to be higher. It's going to be higher than $1,052.81. It's going to be it's probably going to be $1,200.
Now, mind you, this is just the mortgage payment. It doesn't include the escrow, which can include homeowners insurance and property taxes, which vary every single year. They're never set in stone.
Yeah, and then the 30-year is still $1,200, which is going to be a little bit more than that. So it's going to be $1,250, $1,300.
Right.
So, and then now you're saying, what do those numbers mean to me? Because $600 doesn't sound like a lot of money until you spread it out over 50 years. And then what you see is that you only pay $103,000 for the $200,000 house in interest. So
you pay $200,000 for the purchase plus an additional $103,000. So your home ends up costing you $303,000 if you hold that mortgage or that house loan for 15 whole years.
Correct. You are paying 150% of that house price. So that's for a 15-year mortgage. That's the good one we're saying is you're paying 150%. It's not like you're paying 106%, which is misunderstood by a lot of people. So on a 15-year mortgage, based off this rough math, you're paying 150% of the house price.
So the true cost to the consumer would be $303,000.
Correct.
Yes.
So a $200,000 house, 15-year mortgage, roughly 6% interest, you're paying $303,000 total dollars for it. For a 30-year mortgage, $200,000 house price, 6%, which that would actually be higher. Let's say a 6.25%. Right. You're paying $231,000 in interest. So it just increased $28,000 is what it increased in interest.
Right.
From 15 to 30 years.
Right.
That's a lot of money. So for the same house, you're paying, instead of $303,000 total, you're now paying $431,000 for a $200,000 house. More than double. So you are paying 200% for that house. That's a lot of money. And it's kind of gut-wrenching when you think about it.
When you look at the total cost. And a lot of consumers look at what it's going to cost them per month. And that's what they base their decision off of. And that's what they solely base their decision off of. And that's a very dangerous way to make a financial decision because it has other impacts that you're not thinking about on other areas of your life.
Yeah. So now we're going to go to the truly gut-wrenching one. That's the 50-year mortgage. That's the one that people are talking about. 30 years is a lot of money. People talked about this was predatory lending back when this wasn't a thing.
Right.
That the 30-year mortgage was predatory lending. Now we're talking about a 50-year mortgage. On the 50-year mortgage, you're paying $431,000 in interest. And it's not like, so I want to say Legacy Heights, they have a 38-year mortgage option, and it does make it more affordable monthly. But long term, it is a terrible financial decision. And then on top of that, you run into issues with, so you mentioned that the average time that a homeowner stays in their residence
About
is
12 years.
Is that 12 years? Will you even have enough equity in 12 years to sell your house? The answer is probably no. If you're in a 38-year mortgage, or a 50-year mortgage, the answer is no. You're probably not going to have enough to pay your realtor, your closing costs, and then to close. And if you do, it's going to be tight. And did you pay anything extra on your mortgage, or did you just make the minimum payment?
Right.
Hopefully your house appreciated, but if you catch the market in a downturn, you're going to be locked into it. You're not going to be able to sell it. So that's things that people need to keep in mind when you start bridging this out. So for that 50-year mortgage, total cost for a $200,000 house, you're paying $631,000
For a $200,000 home.
for a $200,000 home. More than, yeah, that is outrageous. So shifting the conversation back, we know that 50-year mortgages are bad. 30-year mortgages are not as good as 15-year mortgages. You still pay a lot, but it allows people to get some equity in it. But on the 100% financing, it's just, ideally you have a down payment. Going back to, because how do you avoid that 50-year mortgage? You avoid by overspending, so not living above your means, and by saving. What are some of your suggestions as a financial advisor? How do you save that money? What ways, what accounts do you advise young people or even couples in their 30s to save so they're able to buy a home?
Mm-hmm. When I meet with young members of the credit union or people out in the community, we have a really long conversation about the needs versus the wants, their expectations about home ownership. I was telling Keanu before we started that I don't think that home ownership is the American dream. It can be part of the American dream, but I think the American dream is really having enough money to live the lifestyle that you want to live for the rest of your life, even when you're not able to work anymore in retirement. And so as we're young and starting out and starting families and buying homes and paying for college, we're juggling a lot of balls. And a lot of those balls, they have conflicting goals with them. If you want to save for retirement, then that may mean that you're buying a smaller house. If you want a nicer house or a bigger house or a more expensive house, that means that you may give up saving for retirement or saving for your child's education. So meeting with a financial advisor that's going to do a very in-depth dive into your finances and look at everything and ask a lot of questions to guide you down the path of making the best financial decisions for you is really, really important. As far as the mortgages are concerned, anytime I have a client who wants to jump to a larger, more expensive mortgage, we talk about the needs versus the wants and what they're going to have to give up, because you are going to have to give up something. And that might mean financial security and retirement. It might mean you're giving up your safety net, your savings account that you have set back. It may be giving up future income because, a more expensive house is more expensive to maintain. Property taxes go up. Homeowners insurance goes up. Those are costs that people don't factor into their monthly payment, their mortgage payment. And so having all of that in consideration, if we decide that, yes, it's okay for them to go ahead and buy a more expensive house, we talk about, choosing the right mortgage. I don't know that there would ever be a situation where I would recommend a 50-year loan simply because of what we've gone over, the interest that they're going to be accruing and paying to the bank or the credit union or the finance company that they're using. We also have to consider, if it's a couple, what happens when one of those couples passes away or becomes disabled or can't work anymore or, they lose their job. Yeah. Can the other person continue to make that payment? Those are all considerations that we have to look at. I never want people to stop investing for their future, to buy a home, to buy a vehicle, to save for kids' colleges. I don't want them to stop doing that, because the one principle of investing that applies to all of us is the more time we have in the investment, the better off we're going to be and the less aggressive we have to be. So for young investors, they don't have to be super aggressive. They can, but they don't have to because they have time on their side. The longer you wait to start investing or the more years that you sit out of the market, the chances are higher that either one, you're not going to meet your financial goal or goals, or you're going to have to be more aggressive than you feel comfortable because you have to make up for lost time in the market. So Keanu asked me to run some illustrations about, if we were going to choose one mortgage over the other mortgage, if we invested the difference, what would that equate to over a 50-year period? So I kind of did some of that math before I came. And so I pretended that we put $120 per month in a balanced portfolio. And balanced portfolio just means part stock, which is a more aggressive investment, and part bond, which is a less aggressive investment. So $120 per month split between two funds for 50 years. It was staggering to see what that would grow to, but it grew in a balanced fund to $1.9 million.
It's a long time. And how many years?
50 years.
50
so if you're
years.
doing a 50-year mortgage,
Okay.
if you had $120 per month, well, chances are along the path, you're going to have some expenses that you're going to need to get into your investment account for, right? So that would be leaving a loan for 50 years, $1.9 million. If we did just a stock portfolio, so all stocks, all a pretty aggressive mutual fund, it would grow to $2.8 million.
That's a lot.
Correct. Well, if you look back and you say, well, what if we wanted to just do it for 10 years? If we wanted to do it for 10 years, we could have grown it to, maybe $50,000. You don't have to stay invested for 50 whole years if you don't want to, but it would at least give you some liquidity. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about today. Having a savings account and having that liquidity is very important as we move through life and as we move through the seasons of life. If we have all of our money wrapped up in equity in a home, equity is what we've put into it, what we've paid for it so far. To free up liquidity, we have to do one of two things. We either have to take a home equity line of credit, right? Take that equity out of our house, or we have to sell our home to free up the equity.
Yeah, to truly free it up, you got to sell it.
Right. And then if you do that, you don't have a place to live, right? Or you're downsizing or trying to downsize. So having liquidity is very, very important. Being cognizant of property taxes and insurance is very important. The upkeep and maintenance of any property that you own is very important. So investing the difference, finding out where you need to be for a house payment, those are all important decisions to make. But working with a financial advisor can help you with that balancing act. We all have to realize that, growing up, we all grew up in different families. We all have different understandings of the way money works. We all make decisions differently. And sitting here with you for a few minutes beforehand, talking about how you and your wife made a decision on what kind of mortgage you were going to take, I asked you, had you ever considered something different for this reason? And he said, I wish you would have been in my life when we were making that decision.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to realize that when you're talking to your realtor, they're not going to guide you the way a financial advisor is because maybe their knowledge isn't in the same area as ours.
I'm a realtor. I don't specialize in loans, and that's the honesty of it.
Right.
I do not specialize in loans.
Right.
Loan officers do not specialize in selling
real estate.
Right. They sell a loan.
Right.
And
a
specialize.
financial advisor, we look at everything. And we may lean on our realtors and we may lean on our loan officers, but we look at the entire financial picture of our clients to give them guidance. We don't look at their finances and say, oh, well, you can afford a $1,200 a month payment without looking at other debt that they might have or other obligations outside of a technical debt that they might have, their family obligations, and other situations that might impact their finances. We look at everything. And sometimes we come back and we say, we know your loan officer told you could afford this house, but I would recommend that you not buy something this expensive.
I absolutely agree with you, and I think it's imperative that depending on who your loan officer is, just be extremely cautious that you do not over leverage yourself. The house we just bought, me and Olivia bought a house in January. quote unquote, I could afford it myself based off my income. I'm telling you, I could not afford that
For
house.
the loan officer.
Per the loan officer, I could afford it myself. On paper, there is no plausible way I could live comfortably paying for that loan on my income alone. It's not plausible. And so I am encouraging you, give Tiffany a phone call, talk to her. If it's not Tiffany and you bank someplace else, go and talk to your local financial advisor. Do not overextend yourself, because when your siblings are taking their kids to go get bratwurst at Chris Kindle Mart, you may not be able to afford it. And financial stress and struggles is the number one reason for divorce. And so it is imperative that you guys pay attention to this and you do not over leverage yourself. And I would strongly encourage you, live below your means. I hate to quote Dave Ramsey, it's kind of cringy, but what is it?
Live like no one
else,
so you can live like no one else.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Do not over leverage yourself. Do not over.
It's very easy to take too large of a step forward too soon in life.
Yeah.
And it can mess up your entire financial life for the foreseeable future. So it's important to take baby steps and make sure that they're educated. And you need to rely on your professionals. You need to rely on your accountants and your real estate agents and your financial advisors and your attorneys to make these big decisions, not just your parents.
Yes.
Or anybody else in your life that you have typically listened to. You need to get somebody outside of your little circle of people, because we see things from a different point of view.
And one rule of thumb I would strongly encourage the viewers, if you take advice from somebody, look at their standard of living. Look at where they're at financially. If they're not where you want to be financially, I would encourage you to question it. Maybe don't tell them they're wrong. That's not always just maybe
we don't
just
want to be starting
silent.
fights.
Yeah. Don't start a fight over it. But go to somebody you look up to. Go to somebody who has a life that you want, who's in a financial situation that you want to be in. Get their advice.
Would you agree that it's really difficult to watch social media, to watch Lundquist Realty show all these beautiful homes in Wabash and not want them?
Oh, yeah. No,
we all want them.
Absolutely agree.
We all want them. And sometimes the answer is not no. Sometimes the answer is not yet.
Not yet.
Or you're not ready for that yet. And working with a financial advisor, we kind of parent our clients and we kind of advise our clients, right? We do a little bit of both. And sometimes I look at my clients and I say, listen, I'm going to parent you here. As the mom in me, it's not time or not yet.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I forget which school it was. It was rather Northfield or Southwood, but it had a logo that said, if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail.
Right.
And when it comes to buying a house, when it comes to retirement, start early. Go if you are 18 years old, 19 years old, 21 years old, you just got out of high school, reach out to Beacon.
Right.
Talk to Tiffany. Run the numbers yourself at home on Google. Look at the investment curve, and if you look at it, it goes from nearly flat and it just spikes at the end at the end of the investment period. It does it every time. Time matters. Start investing when you're young.
It takes very little to start investing, and people are shocked. When I ran those numbers for $120 a month, $1.8 to $2.8 million over 50 years, even if you cut that in half to 25 years, you don't have to invest very much to get started, but you have to get started.
And I think it comes down to education. It's people are not aware of it, and they're not being taught it in school, or if they're being taught, it's one homeroom class like what we did.
Right.
And you really need good parents, but this is your opportunity. Hey, if you're listening to this is your opportunity. This is your sign. Go and talk to Tiffany. If you don't bank at Beacon, you bank at Crossroads.
No, you can still come and talk to me even if you don't bank at Beacon. It's the only service that Beacon allows non-members to partake in.
Okay. Well, there's your answer. Just go talk to Tiffany and get set up, because it is a big deal. If you just saved up $50,000 for a house, Let's say you weren't ready, you were living at home. That's really the best situation. If you're living at home and you're 18 years old and you have parents that are letting you contribute to the household and put stash money away into an account, luckily my mom did. I was able to stay at home for 3 years and get a decent nest egg, and I used that to go put it down on my first house. And then when I closed on that house, I had equity and it had appreciated, and I did okay. And I'm thankful and I thank God for it. That can happen, but you have to just plan, put money away, live below your means, and be generous. This is my suggestion. I think we have a couple more topics here to cover, but I think we're nearing the end. Yeah, that may be almost it, actually. So I think that's about it. Tiffany, do you have any suggestions, closing thoughts, opinions, disclaimers?
I wanted to touch on the B word, the budget word, right? You and I talked a
Yes.
little bit beforehand. If you're thinking about meeting with a financial advisor, I would do a simple budget. And budget doesn't mean restriction or constriction or anything negative. It gives you a spending plan. And so a simple budget would be just a piece of paper, the letter I on one side and the letter O on the other. I is in. What funds are coming into your house? That's income, that's bonuses, that's gifts from parents, the money that's coming in. And then the O is out. What's going out of your household budget? Write down everything from your eyelash appointment to your Scooter's coffee in downtown Wabash, to your mortgage payment or your rent payment, to your gas, your car insurance. Write the ins and outs. If you write down every dollar that you're spending, you will soon see where the hole in your boat is, right? And those are the easiest things to fix. Like, are we spending too much eating out? Are we spending too much on our shopping trips? Are we spending too much on renter's insurance? Maybe we shop our renter's insurance and get those premiums decreased. So it's all those little things. That's what you need to take to your financial advisor and say, listen, this is what I'm currently doing. How can we make improvements from here? And that financial advisor, if they're a good financial advisor, they can give you small, doable steps to point you in the right direction.
I absolutely agree. That budget is imperative. I've been doing it for a long time. I think since I moved out, I've been doing a budget on, I think Google Sheets is free. You can use Google Sheets, put all your inputs. I have a bill column, that's the title of it. I have a expense, paid on, and owed. So there's 4 columns, and then it runs all the way down. I have an exclusive bills because you never know when you're going to need new hub assembly on your truck or any large expense. And then I have an income side, and I have all of our bank accounts, and it has all of the numbers on it, and it highlights where the money's going, where the hole in the boat is.
Right.
And it's hard to fix something you don't know is there.
And a lot of people simply avoid it because it's embarrassing. They don't want to face it. You don't have to be embarrassed, right? Bringing it to light takes the negativity away from it, and you can deal with it then. It doesn't have to be as detailed as what you are doing. A lot of your listeners are intimidated by that. It's a lot more simple than that. So there are simple budgeting tools that are free online that people can go out and print off and fill your information out. But until you really dig down and give names to all of your dollars spent, you can't make any changes.
Yeah, and it's liberating. Like, it's freeing.
It is.
It's nice to know where all your money's going, and it's like, okay, well, this is my month money. I have $250 to spend on whatever I want: energy drinks, hunting items, a new Carhartt beanie, anything I want, I can spend on. And at the end of the month, maybe it's a spending day. Maybe you and the wife go out and we have $100 left over after our monthly money.
When you budget, it gives you permission.
Yeah.
To spend in different areas. It's not restriction, it's permissive. It gives you permission.
I'm trying to think of the best way how to say it. You hear people talk about it with, I can't articulate it quite exactly right, but it's essentially by being in control, by having
You're
some
giving
level
yourself
of,
financial freedom.
that's what it is.
It is.
By being in control, by having a little bit of self-discipline, you're giving yourself financial freedom to spend it on what you want.
And when you have financial freedom, you can't explain to other people what that feels like.
Yeah. And
You
it's,
cannot explain it. You have to let them feel it.
yes. And it is a liberating feeling when you are not thinking every day. I have clients who think about it every day. For the first 10 days of the month, they don't worry about it. They're proud of themselves because they have every single bill paid. And the 5% they have left over is spent by the end of the second week. And the last 2 weeks of the month is worry, it's stress, it's anxiety. Do the budget. The budget it'll be harder to start the budget than it will be to do the budget. The stress and anxiety is in the starting process. Once it's done, you're like, oh man, this is awesome. You get a dopamine boost. You feel great. It's like running or going to the gym.
Do you know what decreases anxiety? Action.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's physical type stuff, financial type stuff, a home improvement project. What cures anxiety is action. Start the budget.
Yes, and pay off your bills. That is like, it is not healthy to be leveraged and have a $30,000 car loan, $20,000 in student debt, $10,000 in credit card debt. The answer is not just rolling it all into your mortgage. Maybe that is a partial solution, but it is not. The problem is that the debt is still there. You've got to pay it off. And
do you know how simple you're making it sound, but really how complex it is for people to understand that?
Yes.
It's very complex. You would never start out on a 1,000-mile trek without what? A plan.
Okay, I was going to say a financial advisor.
A plan. I'm not going on vacation with anybody, but without a plan.
Okay.
You have to have a plan. A lot of people, they're so overwhelmed with how to get out of debt, they don't know how to start it. But a financial advisor can help you start that process.
Yes. Pay the debt off, save up, get a saving plan, talk to a financial advisor, save some money. Just if you are zeroing out your account every month, you're living above your means. And I was never told that. There was a lack of education when I first got out of high school. Thank God for Google. It helps a lot. Go out there and search for it, right? Knock and it will be open. Ask and you'll get an answer. Look for the answer, and you develop that self-discipline to make the hard decision and wait. The long-term reward is way better than the immediate reward. It is.
And you cannot tell people that. They have to feel it for themselves, don't they?
Yeah. So before you go out there and get a $20,000 car debt and you're 18 or 19 or 20 years old, you could probably buy a house in about 5 to 10 years and be in a way better financial spot than even I am right now. Start saving $100 a week, $50 a week, $25 a week, and give it to your financial advisor. They're going to invest it. They're going to multiply it, and your money's not going to lose money in a savings account with 0.03% interest. But
the other thing is, when we start having those small successes, when we start seeing our wealth build, it gives us confidence to stay on that path, right? It's that dopamine that the shopping trip used to give us, but now it's seeing our 401k statement or our investment statement that gives us that. I want to share a success story with you.
Okay.
I had a member of the credit union out of our Warsaw branch. I met with her probably 7 years ago, and she was eyeball deep in debt. They had just gone from a $100,000 home to a $300,000 home. They had a ton of student loan debt, and I looked at her and I said, "You need to downsize." She said, "Well, we just bought the home of our dreams." I said, "What's your bigger dream in life?" And she said, "Well, to have financial freedom." I said, "You're decades away from financial freedom by making that choice that you just made." And she started crying. And I said, "This is emotional. Finances are emotional." So I said, "This is what I think you should do. I think you should downsize. I think you guys should work really hard on paying off your student loan. You guys have the income to do that. You just can't do both at the same time. When the student loan is gone, I want you to save up more to have a larger down payment on a mortgage, and then you can go out and buy your quote-unquote dream home." She left that meeting crying. She was upset. And about a year later, she sent me a link to a YouTube video. She had gone on the Dave Ramsey show.
Oh, really? That's cool.
And she said there's a financial advisor in Warsaw, Indiana. She did not say my name, but she gave this scenario, and she said we did exactly what she told us we should do. We sold the $300,000 home, went back to the $100,000 home, paid off all that student loan debt in 1 year, saved enough money, and rebought the $300,000 home. So they only had to be in the downsized home for a year.
That is awesome.
But she said, we are on track to pay that off in 10 years. And she said, we will be debt free. She still makes regular contact with me, telling me what their updated investment balances are. And they are debt free and they are ready for retirement.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Sometimes we have to step back to correct.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Sometimes we have to back up to make corrections. And then we can go forward again.
Yeah, and this is the kicker, is when you over leverage and everything's on a loan, the bank owns it.
Okay, when you're talking to your listeners, when you say over leverage, explain to them what you mean.
Over leverage is when
taking too many loans. That's as simple as it is, right?
Taking too many loans. And essentially with loans, the bank's going to get their money and you're paying interest on it. And nobody's ever, the majority of people are unaware of how much interest they're actually paying on a home or a vehicle. So don't. It's not, ideally you can pay for a home in cash. I did not do that.
Most people don't.
Yeah. Most
people don't.
With that being said, a lot of times people overspend. They go house poor. And they do that by taking too much of a loan out. And it's like, if you just cut your budget back by 10 to 20% and saved for 6 months to a year, truly saved, you could totally do a 15-year mortgage. And it's so much, it's $100,000 less.
And that's not a no. That's just a not yet. We have to be patient. We have to be patient when we're
more disciplined.
It is. It is. And it's difficult.
And it rolls over every other thing. And the other kicker is your children they are modeling you. They are going to pick up your habits. Now, I'm going to be cautious with my words, because who am I to give parenting advice or advice to that extent? But just be cautious, because your children are modeling you.
They're watching you.
If you can have the discipline to save up a little bit of money, buy the house that's 10%, 20% less house, you can be paid off before your kids are out of high school, if you're disciplined. Or if you buy it before you have kids, you could totally have it paid off before they graduate high school. And then you could, with that, so the average mortgage is somewhere around $1,000 and $2,000
per month.
Per month, yeah. That's a mini vacation per month. What could you do with that in retirement? What could you do with that for your kids' college tuition? What could you do with that for your grandkids one day?
Or even half of that.
Yeah, and instead the bank, Chase, Flagstar,
all of them are profiting, and
they're doing. I'm not saying the banks are not the bad guys.
They're providing a service.
They are providing a service.
But as the consumer, it's all of our responsibilities to make sure that we are using debt in the best way we can.
Yes, we have to be wise and make better decisions. And there is a lack of education out here, a lack of acknowledgement. Even on my part, moving forward, now that I'm better educated a little bit, not much, I am for sure going to push encourage the 15-year mortgage, encourage 10 or 20% less house. And that's hard when we live on social media. It's hard when we're playing keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
And we just saw, this family who has the same job, he's a coworker, just bought this house and they're in this financial situation, and it's super toxic. And it can destroy relationships. It can destroy your self-confidence. I strongly encourage everybody to, one, don't base your success off other people, because everybody's different. Everybody had a different start of cards when they started. And live below your means.
Yeah. The
old saying, put 10% of your income back every paycheck is pretty accurate. I don't know is that roughly accurate? 10%?
It is.
Between savings, emergency fund, retirement accounts.
But as you pay your debt off, then you contribute more because you can.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go out and buy another house that's bigger.
And the kicker is starting young. If we had every kid out of high school investing continuously, it doesn't even have to be a lot of money, but just investing continuously, they'd be able to put 20% down on a 15% on a 15-year mortgage, and they could, and by the time their kids were nearing high school or getting ready to finish high school, they'd be debt free.
Right.
And they wouldn't have to go out and take that car loan.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with driving a 10-year-old vehicle. There's nothing wrong with that. So that's our little tidbit. Any other disclaimers, things you want to touch base on? Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's kind of a wrap. We hope you guys take this and run with it. And I would strongly encourage everybody, reach out to Tiffany. She is amazing and super wise and super intelligent. She's been doing it for a long time. What did you say, 25 years?
Mm-hmm.
25 years. She taught me in high school. She's teaching me now. Reach out to her. Go get some advice. And I hope you guys are able to enjoy the money you work for. So thank you so much for listening, and we hope to see you again on the next podcast. It's going to be Christy Lundquist and I. We're going to be talking about appraisals, so that's exciting. Thank you so much for tuning in.